Let's start over from the top.
That's not a good thing to say.
Girl, you young. You keep me young.
Sorry. Hi guys, thank you so much for coming to our channel. My name is Destiny. I'm a team member at the Bookish Box, and today I have David here with me. He's gonna be helping me with a challenge that we kind of created, I hope. If we aren't the first people to do this, make sure you leave us a comment and we will definitely give them credit. But we just haven't seen this anywhere before and we thought we were being original.
So this one's called My First Time.
Yeah. My first.
Yeah.
And these are just 5 first time moments that we have with books, and we thought that we'd share them with you. So the first one is my first book boyfriend. My first book boyfriend was definitely Jacob from Twilight. I really loved how much he loved Bella. So I don't know that he was my first book boyfriend, like I loved him, but like I loved him because he loved Bella so much, and I wanted somebody to love me as much as he loved Bella. Okay. So, yeah, so kind of my first book boyfriend, you know, like I wanted somebody like that, not necessarily him, because obviously he was in love with Bella, and I would never try and tear them apart, you know. But yeah, he was my first book boyfriend.
Okay, so mine is a very embarrassing little secret, so I need everyone watching this video to keep it to themselves. So there's a very nerdy fantasy series called the Dragonlance series, and there's a character in that series named Raceland, and he's a very bad person, probably, I would say. He's one of those characters where like you can never really tell if he's a hero or a villain. He's kind of out for himself. And when I was a little kid, I was probably in like 6th or 7th grade when I read the first book in the series. That was really intriguing to me, because before then, every book I had read was kind of like very black and white. Like the heroes and the villains were very clearly delineated, and you knew who was good and you knew who was bad. And in this one, like he kind of kept you guessing, and that was very like, I don't know, intriguing, and he was just very mysterious, and there was a lot of bad, and that, I don't know, like that was a very attractive feature for me growing up like in a very like conservative household, like just someone who broke the rules a lot. So I'm gonna say it was Raceland from the Dragonlance series.
Ooh. The next one that we have is my first home away from home. Mine was Hogwarts. I feel like this is gonna be a lot of people's. If you're playing along with us, leave them in the comments down below. But I feel like this is gonna be a lot of people's. For me, Harry Potter was one of the first books that I read because I wanted to read them, not because like school was telling me to read them or something like that. Like it was something that like I pursued kind of. And so when I read it, I was like, I'm a wizard. I was like, I'm gonna do it. Where's my letter?
This is it.
Come on, Hogwarts, where's my letter for 13th birthday? Let's go. Yeah, I was like, let's go, let's do this. I'm ready. And so that was somewhere where like I definitely.
Call me up, Dumbledore.
Come on, let's go. Where's my birthday cake? But yeah, it was definitely somewhere where like I wanted to be there more than I wanted to be here.
Yeah. Ooh, more embarrassing, nerdy stuff. But I'm among friends, so it's okay. My first home away from home would be Redwall Abbey. So if any of you have read the Redwall series, it's embarrassing again because it's a story about like talking mice, but they live in an abbey, so that's a thing, and there's like 30 books in the series, and so as a kid who like just really enjoyed reading and enjoyed the fantasy world that the author had created, it was great because there was kind of like there was no end in sight when I was reading these books. So I got to spend a lot of time with the characters, a lot of time at Redwall Abbey, and I just kind of really fell in love with it. It was really cool and romantic. Unlike the previous series that I talked about, it was very clearly delineated who was good and who was bad. So this was definitely something I read before I read the Dragonlance series. But who cares? I loved it all the same. It was really fun series to read, and I spent a lot of time at Redwall Abbey, so to speak, when I was a kid. So
The next one is my first book, Doppelganger. So this one could be either the way they were described matched the way you like looked or something like that, or it could also be just like first person that you like identified with in a book. And that's kind of how I took it, the latter of what I said. And I did Eleanor from Eleanor Park. I read that one when I was a little bit older. I think I was in high school, probably like a freshman or a sophomore, which is around when that book takes place for them. And I don't know, I identified with her, not only because she had red hair, which obviously played a role in it, but I just her characteristics, the way she reacted to things for the most part was pretty close to how at that time when I was reading it, I also thought about things and how I reacted to things, so it pretty closely like related to me when I read that.
So my first book, Doppelganger, was L'Oreal from the Abhorsen series. There was a time in my life when I was younger that I was not as bubbly and effervescent as I am today.
Oh wow! Couldn't imagine that.
Which will come as no surprise to anyone on this side of the camera. So yeah, L'Oreal is kind of she's, you know, very quiet, keeps to herself, a little bit moody, doesn't have a lot of friends, and this was something that I could really relate to when I was younger. Like, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was, you know, very quiet and very reticent, very kind of suspicious of new people in terms of, like, making friendships. But she's also very bookish and very curious. She works in this crazy library that's, like, you know, dozens of stories like deep into the earth, and it's like full of like monsters and all this crazy stuff. And so she loves to explore and she loves to read, and but she isn't so good at relating to people. And that was something that, like, when I was younger, I could definitely see myself in her character. But she kind of grows out of that. She has to grow up real quick, and she learns that that's not going to serve her, you know, in the real world as an adult. And that's something else that I kind of relate to, even though I didn't relate to it at the time, is that, you know, sometimes you just gotta grow up and get out there and
meet new people.
Yeah.
Next one is my first book that kept me up all night.
Ooh. All night long.
So mine is actually something that happened pretty recently. And when I say pretty recently, I mean last night. I don't usually start books right before I go to bed, but last night before I went to bed, I was hearing Justine's voice in my head saying that you need to read ACOTAR. Yeah, well, because Dana had told me yesterday, Dana is one of our team members as well, had told me that she just started the second ACOTAR book, and I was like, I haven't even started the first, and Justine is going to get so mad at me. So I did start it last night, and it did keep me up most of the night. I did have to go to bed eventually because I had to wake up so early, but yeah, ACOTAR, it really sucked me in pretty fast.
So for me, this was another fantasy. It's kind of bridges the line between fantasy and sci-fi, I would say, series that I read as a kid. I was not old enough to read it, I would say. It's a very adult book with some very adult themes. It's very, very dark. But I read it in 8th grade because that was just my style back then, and I guess still today. It's called The Darkness That Comes Before. It's by T.A. Barron. It is a very, very sprawling fantasy series, similar to Game of Thrones in that it's just got like this very immense history behind it, but also like scary as hell. Like that series is terrifying, but is really good, and I highly recommend it. But The Darkness That Comes Before, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's set in a fictional fantasy world, but it's about a holy war between these two countries, and but as you will quickly learn if you pick up the book, there's more behind the Holy War than the people who are kind of leading it are letting on. And it's very dark and it's very disturbing in parts, and it kept me up multiple times, multiple nights. I just the entire series, I would say that there were definitely a lot of sleepless nights associated with it. And it's great because there's a lot of books. They're all very thick, so it's another series that you can spend a lot of time with.
And the last one is my first book that made me cry. So mine, I have talked about this probably every single time that we've done any type of favorites list.
Yep.
I absolutely love it. It is the first book that I've read multiple times, and still the only book that I think, or the only series that I've read multiple times, because I just love it that much. I wish I could, when you wish you could get that feeling back of doing something for the first time again. That's how I feel. I wish I could go back in time and reread it for the first time, just have that feeling of not knowing what's gonna happen next. It's such a good book. Crank. It made me cry. It is so sad. When I read it for the first time, I had never gone through, thankfully, at that point, any real hardships, never any real loss. And so when she was going through what she was going through in the book, it was really hard for me to imagine it, but also I am just an empathetic person. And so I just poured my whole entire being into her. I didn't know how she was feeling, but because of the way she described it, I knew exactly how she was feeling, and it tore me apart. It's just
an intense book.
It's a very intense book.
Yeah. So I'm in trouble because I accidentally said that the last book was by T.A. Barron, and it's by R. Scott Bakker. The next book I'm about to talk about is by T.A. Barron. So I accidentally switched the names, but that's because they both have that 2 initials plus a last name, so it's their fault and not mine.
Their fault.
So forgive me for that, and we will
forgive them for that.
Forgive them, because they've really screwed up there.
Yeah.
But the first book that made me cry was by T.A. Barron, and it was the final book in a series called the Merlin Saga. I think the book was called The Wings of Merlin. I'm sharing a lot of very intimate and embarrassingly nerdy details about myself. And it's about Merlin. It's the story of Merlin, but as a youth. He's young, he's just finding out who he is. He's, kind of finding out about this grand destiny that he has in the, Arthurian cycle that we're all kind of aware of today. And it really bummed me out. It really bummed me out because it didn't end the way that I wanted it to end. And as 10-year-old David, I was very frustrated by that fact, even though I knew how it would end, because I was aware of the legend of Arthur. I knew how it was gonna end, and it ended that way, and I was pissed. I was so upset, and so it was one of those moments where it was really my fault, because if I didn't want to read it, if I didn't want that ending, I shouldn't have read the story.
Yeah.
But it was very well written, and it was heartbreaking at the end, and very good. But I just remember it was angry tears. I remember sitting in my room, and my mom knocked on the door, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm mad. I don't want to talk about it."
Don't talk to me.
Very upset, and I was I'm never gonna read another book again. And then I
the next day
I picked up another book. So that is the first book that made me cry. I think it was called The Wings of Merlin. I don't remember, but it's part of the Merlin Saga by T.A. Barron.
So thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the stories of our firsts. And we hope to see you guys really soon. Make sure that you're subscribed to us. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you have our post notifications on. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Join our Facebook group. It's the Bookish Chats. I'll leave the link down below.
And check out our live videos.
Check out our live videos every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We do a live. It's always super fun. You get to ask questions. We get to hear feedback from you right away. You get to hear some exclusive stuff sometimes if Justine can't hold it in.
That's true.
And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Please post all of your firsts in the comments below.
Please post.
answer all of these because we want to hear.
And we want to hear them. So please leave them down below. We love looking at the comments.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!